welcome back everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ohno. We are so excited to see you. That's my new intro. What do you think?
I'm aghast.
I didn't tell you before, but I've decided to stop doing low energy intros and just really grab them in the first minute or two.
I feel a little bit off kilter now.
Yeah.
I feel like your energy's here. I'm still down here.
You can have a go. You can have a go at a wacky intro if you want.
I'm right.
Alright, maybe Jack can do it next week. Because this week, it's my story. It's my week. It's all about me this week.
We're on episode 10.
Episode 10.
This is our 10th episode. This is, if we were a Roman numeral, we'd be an X.
Yes, an X. What about if we're on episode 1432? What's that?
C.
Someone's going to put that in the comments.
They are.
They
M. It's M.
It's M.
What did you say? 1,000?
342. This isn't.
You. Sorry.
You guys figure that out. We'll
It's
pin that comment.
MCCC. No, it's not. It's
great content.
Welcome back to Ohno.
All right, it's my story this week. You know how it goes. I'm going to read an original story out to Jack. Jack's going to rate it at the end. Hopefully you guys will too in the comments and hopefully you enjoy it. So the title of the story this week is I Scream.
Wait, but is it I Scream?
I Scream. They'll know it anyway because you'll have seen the title already.
Yeah, but you're going to do a weird thing about like an ice cream man, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, maybe. I don't want to rule anything out.
Oh, God.
Of all the minds in all the world, you had to walk into mine. That's the only way you can hear this story. I can no longer say this out loud. My smiles are forced. My will has left me. You're here though, and that's all that matters. That, and the tragic tale of how I got here. Please excuse the self-pity. It's all I have left. My story begins with a curiosity, not unlike yours at this very moment, I imagine. There was a storm. The kind of storm you only get once in a lifetime, and even that's too much. The kind that you don't leave the house for. The kind that takes the youngest and the oldest and works its way inward. The kind that any sane person would hide away and wait out. Perhaps that's why the roads were so empty that day. The drive back to Billings was almost 5 hours on a good day, depending on the traffic as you got close. Despite making that same trip every time I visited my parents, I never gave myself enough time. They had begged me to stay in Marysville for just another day or two, wait for the storm to pass. They said we could watch old home movies, Mum would make cocoa. God, I wish I could taste that now. I said no, thank you, but the office needed me. They didn't take kindly when I called in late because of snow, and they certainly wouldn't like it if I was also on the other side of Montana. So I hit the road. Flakes piled up as I wound through the country. By the time I hit the 279, the windscreen wipers were in overdrive. Every neon road sign along the Missouri River told me to turn back, but even they became obscured as I entered the eye of the storm. It had been almost an hour since I'd seen the last vehicle, a tow truck dragging a smashed up car, now caked in white. Eventually, I saw nothing in front of me. There could have been an 18-wheeler barreling down in my direction, and I'd have no idea until I was one with its fender. Now, dear listener, now was the time that I thought maybe I should wait it out. Only now, not back there with a hot cup watching the Millennium Party on VHS. So I pulled over to what I thought was the side of the road. I put the heaters on full and waited. Nothing changed. For an hour, just the sound of my engine shivering, static on the radio, and the low battery notifications on my phone. Everything was white. White was everything. I might as well have been in heaven already, but that's when I saw a sign. Not from God, of course. A handmade sign, barely visible, about 20 feet in front of me. It was only visible for the briefest of moments, but that was enough to just make out the words, painted in gold and white. Hotel Narcy. Turn right now. You'd be surprised how easy a choice is to make when you're all out of options. The car revved against the snow that had already piled up around the wheels, but eventually I got moving. The dirt road quickly dived into a forest, and with the pines came some protection from the snow. They were so dense though that my visibility was barely improved. I just followed the track as it wound its way up the hill. Every turn began to look just like the last until, at long last, the pattern of pines and snow and darkness was broken by the hotel. It looked like part of the forest itself, nestled perfectly between the trees as if they had taken it in as one of their own. The needles on its roof only added to this appearance. Its Gothic facade seemed to stare at me with black windows, a granite porch for a nose, and stone lips that framed its wrought iron door. It didn't look inviting, but the packed parking lot suggested otherwise. In fact, I parked in the only space available, between an old Dodge and a 70s Chevrolet. As I scurried to the door, I noticed that all the cars were classics. Chevrolets, Camaros and Mustangs, all neatly packed together, and not a flake of snow on them at all. I put it down to the pines. The door thudded behind me and echoed across the lobby. A woman looked up from behind the desk. Her gaunt face seemed like it hadn't slept in weeks. Her lips barely moved as she spoke. "Room 3 is free." I hadn't even taken my coat off yet. "Do you want it?" Of course I did. I asked if she wanted my name though, or some credentials. "We can sort that in the morning." "Room 3 is free. Do you want it?" I wasn't going to test her another time. I took the key that was already on the desk and followed her down the hallway. Every surface was wood, a timeless look amplified by the lack of any real surroundings. Except for dim lights, the place looked like it had avoided the last century. "Here we are. I hope you enjoy your stay. You can check in the morning. Good night." She breezed round the corner. The light seemed to dim even further, and that was that. As soon as she said goodnight, I felt a weariness come over me. I could have sworn it was noon when I pulled over, yet here I was, clambering into my room, with only my bed on my mind. It wasn't hard to find. The room was incredibly bare, a real no-frills affair. In fact, apart from the bed, a dresser, and its Gideon's Bible, the only object in the room was a mirror. Despite how exhausted I was drawn to it. I slumped to the bed and looked at my reflection. I really did look tired. I ran my hands through my hair, brushing out the remaining flakes from my dash inside. I began to undress right there, watching myself as I did. My coat made the only audible sound as I folded it onto the bed. As I pulled my sweater off, I thought I saw something in my reflection. I could have sworn, in that moment, that my reflection already had my sweater on its lap. Just as I did at that moment, only quicker than I'd done it. I scratched my eyes, shook my head, and so did my reflection. I took off my shirt, slid off my trousers and socks, and looked up to see myself, and I was smiling. At least, I thought I was. I didn't feel like I was. I thought I must have been delirious by now. If there's one thing you can trust, it's your own reflection. The lights were so dim now that as I scrutinized my own face, it seemed to have changed already. Now back to the gaunt look that I expected. I froze like an animal sensing danger, not yet committed to fight or flight. I moved my hand up, so did my reflection. I waved slowly. The reflection did too. I moved my head, so did my reflection, except the other way. I jumped up and shrieked, still able to see myself in the full-length mirror. The lights were so dim now that I could see nothing around me, only my reflection. Panting, just as I was, in the darkness. I reached out to touch the mirror, hoping to test my senses, as one had already failed me. My reflection reached out too, its hand not quite shaking as much as mine though, and his face was calmer than the fear I felt on mine. The glass was ice to the touch, but when our fingers met, they left no mark. I dared to glance up, but his face was shrouded in black. I stared and stared into the void, praying for my eyes to adjust. Finally, I saw his mouth curl slowly into a grimace. It was not my own. Then, he spoke 2 words, with my own voice, that marked the end of my life as I knew it. "My turn." I felt his hand move before I even saw it, a grab of my wrist. He pulled. The darkness of the mirror became everything, then nothing, then daytime. I rubbed my face over my hands. I was in my bathroom, in my apartment, in the city, staring at myself in the mirror. Was it all a nightmare? It felt like only moments ago I was in Hotel Narcy, and yet here I was, scrubbing and brushing like nothing happened. I was on autopilot. I needed to lie down, but instead, I grabbed for my toothbrush. I tried to turn around, but continued to brush my teeth. I tried to shout out, but it remained only a thought. My will was like a drawn bow, tighter and tighter, yet I could not release it. My reflection did not share the horror I felt inside. He turned to the door and walked. So did I. And the moment he was out of sight, darkness. There. Then, I was in a shop window. I watched myself stroll by on the street, brushing my hair back. Then, darkness. I looked up from a pond at myself, throwing bread for the ducks. The last piece rippled on top of me as he turned, walked, then darkness. And thus began my new life, living in these moments of reflection, a voyeur of my own existence, a shadow with no voice. Bathroom, darkness. Rear-view mirror, darkness. Whenever he called on me, I was there, forced to gaze into my own eyes. After the first week, I gave up screaming through my stare. As the months went by, I sunk into the corners of my mind, burrowing further and further until the windows of my reality shrunk out of sight. I have no will, but this is my testament, that if you hear these words, know that we are there, always. The next time you catch your reflection move slightly differently, or your eyes not quite look the same, spare them a thought, dear listener. They are you, and they haven't given up just yet.
Oh, shit! Shit! Shit!
We're gonna bleep, I don't know. No bleep. What do you think?
That was 190 degree of a turn, my good man.
Yeah.
Holy moly. That was fantastic.
It was a bit of a slow burner. I was
was.
thinking about like getting into it quicker, but then like I've been inspired quite a lot by you like building up a little bit, you know? Like my thing started, my previous stories, if you watched any of them, sometimes like something weird, really weird happens within the first like minute or two. But I was like, I'm just gonna like set the scene, like build up, you know?
And that, like the pacing of that was a really good horror pacing.
Thank you, man.
Wow. Wow. I just need to digest that a little bit. Because honestly, I was like, oh, this is masterfully written, this is beautiful, like very atmospheric and stuff. Oh, we've got a nice little haunted overlook hotel. And then, so the Nazi Hotel, is that like just like a way station for lost soul, or like your?
Well,
there's a great line, by the way, that I think is going to cement my point, and it was lost in moments of reflection, because that has such a good double meaning. Obviously, you laid on the narrator, perhaps distancing themselves from their family and stuff, and that's a moment of reflection, right? That's finding yourself, but to find yourself in a mirror in a mysterious hotel in the middle of the pines, good job.
Not the
Good
ideal
job.
place to find yourself.
It's
but
not,
yeah, you still...
but I felt like you kind of littered that. I'm not sure whether it was your intention, but with the old cars. The old cars were a very interesting point. And the way that I see it is kind of like the people who've obviously gotten out of those cars have never come back for the cars. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just meant to be a little nod to the fact that like whatever's been going on here has been going on.
No, but I very much got like the Shining Overlook Hotel kind of.
Yeah.
That was like the Shining, and then I don't know, the very Shining there.
Yeah.
And you did that in like 3 paragraphs, which is a very impressive feat in itself.
I feel like I could have spent more time emphasizing the storm, or like really sort of drawn out getting to the house, but like I don't know, like I was looking at, I knew I wanted, you know how like the ending to a story, if it's got like a twist, sometimes just one line in the last second, and I was like, I do have a twist, but I don't want it to be one line. I want to give myself
twist
room.
Was the 90-degree turn.
Yeah, and I wanted to get. I was like not rushing, but trying to keep the pacing good at the start, so that I could give myself like half the story being the twist.
Yeah,
and not just be like, aha, it was a mirror. Right?
And you did that very well.
Oh, thank you.
Possibly the best that you've done it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
that was great.
That's right, but I will say, literally, I couldn't write a few weeks ago.
Danny's only just graduated from it, so he's doing a fantastic job, isn't he?
It's loosely based on Greek mythology and the Greek
Pool of Narcissus.
Yes, so that's what
I definitely got.
Yeah. And so
there it is.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next point. Where is the Narcy?
Yeah.
Okay, and now I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah. And like I was reading the story before I wrote it, and it described how because he was staring into his own reflection and he fell in love and he couldn't do it. Passion consumed him and he just burst into a golden white flower, which is why I wanted the sign to be golden white when he saw the sign. Just like little things I was like putting in there.
Good job.
But it also was inspired a little bit by, we had a chat the other week, Jack and I did about like shadows and like 2D world, and people
Yeah.
living in a 2D world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no.
And I was like, could you write a horror story about that? Maybe I could.
You did?
Yeah, but like I thought, okay, we can't. It would be creepy to write a story about, you know, shadows thinking they were real people and finding out that they're not or whatever.
But reflection's another story, because a reflection
Well-
technically is a 2D entity.
Yeah. But I remember having but the third inspiration is I've always thought that. I remember being a kid and being like, how do we know for sure
Yeah.
that we are not the reflection? You know, that this is all just like an illusion. Which obviously you can say, oh, you got censored and that stuff, but what if, you know,
Still,
like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
even
yeah.
as a kid, like when you look at yourself in the mirror as a kid, and you're like, that is literally me right there. Like every single movement. But then,
Why did cats and dogs get so freaked out by it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, also, have you ever had those times where you're like in the corner of your eye, the smallest thing, or maybe like, you know, I've sworn that I've made eye contact with myself half a second before it did with me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
almost like we're talking nanoseconds.
There's like some delay.
Some delay that, but
Yeah.
not quite nowhere near enough to ever make you go freak out. But
Yeah.
just enough to put that thought in your head, and that's always sort of been there as well for me.
There's a fantastic horror film on that kind of ilk called Oculus by Mike Flanagan, which is a similar kind of vibe, but like not the same
Yeah.
at all. But like
Oculus. I'll check
yeah,
it out.
Oculus is a great film. That's more like demonic mirrors and stuff like that. You know, I was about to swear again. I should not be swearing so much. I'm terribly sorry, viewers.
Demonic and
But yeah, definitely Shining vibes, Oculus vibes, 2D entity vibes, existential breakdown kind of vibe. You hit all the boxes, definitely, man. I think I've got a score for you. 7.8 again.
7.8 again.
Not because I don't feel like you've improved. Just
No,
because
that's
I
great.
feel like Playtime got a 7.8 because you terrified me for clowns.
Right.
Like, technically, this one was far superior, even though Playtime was fantastic. But I just feel 7.8 is a
No, that's great. No.
like fantastic score anyway.
I'm really happy with that, and I think that's really fair.
It feels right.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know about you. When it comes to my scoring, it's like if you can do like 2 or 3 things really well, then that's like a high 7.
Yeah.
I'm picturing that an 8 would be like, holy shit, you just added in like another layer and done it really well. Like,
You were on your trajectory to an 8 with that story.
wow, that feels really nice.
Yeah.
Feels really good.
100%.
Yeah.
That was my favourite one. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, what do you think, guys? Was that your favourite? Or what was your favourite? We're doing our little
did a poll.
polls at the end, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, we're doing polls. Did any of you guys see? We did like a community post with like a poll,
Yes.
just to get a feel for what you guys are enjoying so far. We have got some big news. We won't do it now. We'll save it for like a video where we can just sort of talk freely. Maybe a live stream. We're going to be doing our first live stream on this channel soon.
Yes.
And we'll have lots of exciting news about what we're planning on doing with all these videos together. That's a little clue, maybe not. But still, yeah, let us know which ones you've liked so far, because yeah, we're really interested. We know what we like, but you know, we love hearing what you guys like.
If you have a story that you'd like to send us, send it to this address, ohnostories@gmail.com, because as Daniel said, we will be reading them out on a live stream, which we've done 2 live streams. So for those of you that have tuned into the live stream, it's been on Danny's channel, and it's been fantastic. We've enjoyed every moment of it. It's just really nice to just like sit down and chat to you guys while also feeling like we're having a chat. I'm not sure whether, you know, we're not doing things correctly, but the way that we do them, they feel very natural.
No, I think everyone appreciates it.
Yeah.
I think we've managed to strike a good balance between like, you know, promoting this channel and also just sort of having a good time, having a fun chat. So we might do one more of those on my channel, maybe not, but definitely the first live stream we're going to do on this channel is coming soon. And not going to miss it, but don't worry, because we're probably going to have that. We're probably be pointing at that date every single day for like 2 videos, 2-3 weeks or whatever. So don't worry. Jack's coming up next week, so get ready for that. And then we're going to have a special guest the week after, I think. All very exciting stuff here at Ohno, as usual.
We try and lay it on, don't we?
We do. We try very, very hard. So please like the video, leave a comment. Please, it makes our week. It actually does.
It actually does make our week. Danny and I sit down and we just kind of like look through everything and like...
Yeah.
Oh.
If you are watching this and you hit a like, you literally will have made our day. So do that, please. And I think it's time to blow this old fire out.
I think it is time to blow this old fire out. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Thank
I'm
you
getting
very
good at
much.
this.
See you next week. We've been now. cold.
Make it.
You got it cold now.
Yeah, I know. That's how it works.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.